everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you day 29 of our daily art journaling prompt challenge from the Art Joy of Sharing art community. If you haven't joined us over there in the art community on Facebook, there's a link below the video. You just go over there, you click on that, and then you answer the questions that pop up, and then the moderators, myself, Peg Robinson, will look at that and accept you into the group. So this is a daily art journaling challenge. We don't always have a daily challenge. Sometimes we have a month-long theme. We always have a couple challenges going on in every month. And so this one just happened to be daily art journaling. Prompt every day. The prompts were names, and the name gave you an idea, informed you of what the character might be for your art journal. This is to encourage you to do art journaling every day. And so I've been making a video every day, a page every day, and then my friend Peg Robinson at her channel also has pages with the same prompts. To start this one, before I turn on the camera, I did just a quick sketch of, oh, by the way, the prompt is Lalka Raccoonier. And she's a very fancy raccoon, very fancy. And so that's why it's raccoonier and not raccoonier. Because, you got to say with a French accent because it's fancy, right? So I drew just a quick pencil sketch before I turned the camera on so that I could make a mask. And I used a scrap piece of deli paper to just cut around, draw through and then cut around a mask so that I could keep the area that I wanted for the raccoon figure to be clear of any sprays. Then I used some sprays that have sparkle in them. They've got something called mica in them to spray the yellow and peach color, and then over the top I put some green spray through a stencil from Stencil Girl Products. So that's how I created my base background. I gave that a good dry. It's sparkly, it's shimmery. The pictures at the very end of the video, you'll be able to see some of the mica sparkle and also some of the other sparkly products I put on because Lalka is fancy. She's not just a regular raccoon. She doesn't want to be referred to as a regular raccoon. She's fancy. So she has to have sparkles and shimmers and sequins and all that. So then the next thing I did, I made this during the live stream yesterday. We have a Thursday morning live stream every Thursday over on the Art Joy of Sharing live stream channel. It's a separate one from this. Peg Robinson and I get together and we do a live stream on Thursdays for everybody to come and watch things in real time and talk. And I was talking about our upcoming paid class. We do a live through Facebook 4-week class every quarter. And these classes are paid classes. You can sign up for the upcoming one in November. It starts on November 6th, and it'll be the 6th, let me look at my calendar, just the 6th, the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th. There'll be a live stream for each one of those days. And the topic and theme of the class is mark making and stamping in mixed media. So I wanted to use some stamps because I was talking about the upcoming class, and giving links for people to go sign up. I wanted to do some stamping. So I used black archival ink and some flower and leaf stamps. The reason I used archival ink is because it's permanent once it's dry, so I can watercolor over the top of it like I'm doing right now. I stamped the flowers and leaves in black, and then I did have a couple of the stamps had some other pieces that you could stamp in color, like a 2-step stamp where you stamp one and then you stamp the other over the top in color to fill it in. So I stamped a little bit of green and orange in the centers of those just to start the coloration. I also used archival ink for that. I have a set of tiny archival ink pads, which are perfect for that type of stamping in your art journal. And since they're permanent, I don't have to worry about the the ink running. You could also use StazOn, and you could use a pigment ink and then put clear powder over it and heat it, embossing powder, to do basically the same thing if you don't have the archival or the StazOn, because the plastic in the embossing powder will seal it as well. But you need to have a sticky ink for that. So that would be a pigment ink. All kinds of information about different types of inks and their properties and how to use them in our class, of course, because there's stamping involved. And we've got to talk about stamping in mixed media because that's what we do. So then to finish up my my little drawing, and by the way, I missed a step here. When I was spraying with my mask was not stuck down, nor was it exactly this the exact lines of my sketch. It was a basic, quickly cut out thing. So I did use a little bit of that spray, and the sprays I was using are water-based, and so I just tapped a little bit out onto my pad and then used that to fill in any places around the sketch where the ink didn't hit. It's better to do that than it is to make the mask too small and then have overlapping, because then you can change, if you're going to watercolor, which was my intention, you can change that color based on those inks that you've sprayed on there that overlap, and then you're trying to watercolor over the top and you've got yellow and green underneath. So it's better to fix the edges after you've sprayed with a little bit more spray on a brush than it is to spray it too much and have it go under where your sketch is. So I did leave this paper. Sorry about that, guys. I've been having the coughing lately. It's not COVID, don't worry. I've already had COVID and injections and the whole thing. So I think it's some allergies, which it shouldn't really be allergy season, but I feel like I've got allergies. So this paper, I did not treat it in advance. I didn't put anything on it. It's just the paper that comes in the Dilutions Dialogue Journal, which is very similar to a manila cardstock. So it's very absorbent. It's not watercolor paper. I didn't put any watercolor ground on it. And so I am getting a little bit of a splotchy look as I'm watercoloring because the paper is instantly absorbing the watercolor. It would have been better if it was, it would have been nicer painting if it was watercolor paper. But, it is what it is. I did not want to put anything on it because I knew I was going to watercolor and I needed some sort of a absorbent paper to do that. So there's all kinds of papers for all kinds of things, and you just have to realize the paper that you have and the quality of the product you're using is going to change how it looks. But I did use ivory black, and then I used this other kind of gray blue sparkly, it was something minerals. It's a sparkly one. This set of watercolors is just like a mishmash of a lot of different brands, and I'm not even sure, but I do have that that piece of cut paper that has all the colors watercolored out onto it in a sampler so that I can tell what I have in the case. I also used a little bit of brown and just a touch of pink on the cheeks, but really watered down. The way that you make a lighter color with watercolor is to just put more water in it, right? Make it more diluted. So I used a very bright pink, but then I put a lot of water so that it would be a little bit diluted. And I used that in the ears and on the cheeks and maybe on the little bottom part of the lip there. I'm not sure. So now I'm back with my Pentel pocket brush. This is a flexible brush that can make a lot of different size lines, very fine to very thick, and it has India ink in it, and India ink is permanent. So I used it to touch up and to add some whiskers and to go around the eyes and, add a little bit of my own mark making hand to it. And then I also used a white Posca pen because if you have dark, you got to have light. That's the way the world works. So I put some white Posca highlights around. Posca pens have acrylic paint, and the white one is titanium white, so it's very opaque, can go over the top of just about anything. So it's a great pen to have. And then I'm going around the edges with an ink pad just to create a frame. And over on the left-hand side, there was a little bit of fluorescent pink that had bled over from the other page on the other side. This is the very last page in this book, so it's going to be, this book is done. And I just wanted to cover up that pink. So I made a border using the black ink because that's going to cover up the pink, right? It's black. So then I did some more mark making. If you want to make a stencil design a little bit your own using your hand, you can do mark making over the top of the design. And in this case, I used the straw that's inside of the spray ink bottle and went around and made marks around all the different little shapes. And it adds something hand painted and painterly to that background, even though it's exactly the same color, because it's coming out as a thick stream. It's a little bit darker. It adds a shadow, and it adds shapes that weren't there in the stencil. So then to finish up, I wanted to add a little bit more something to my very fancy raccoon. I mean, she is fancy. She is so fancy. So I got out my box of sequins and my box of paper flowers, and I'm going to glue some more flowers down. And I'm looking through, trying to find colors that I like in the right size. And I don't have a lot of colors left. So I did take a couple of them and spray them with the peach apricot color, and then the other one's the yellow color that I used in the background, because if you have a paper flower and you don't have the right color, you can always spray it if you've got an ink spray. You could also paint it with paint. That's a little bit more difficult. So then I glued all these down with tacky glue, and it dries clear. When you look at the pictures at the end, you'll see a few of the sequins that still have some white on them, and that's because I did not wait until it was dry to take the picture. So some of the sequins that I put on they're just iridescent. They're clear with an iridescent sparkle to it, so that glue underneath it will dry completely clear, and there'll just be a sparkle there, like something that catches the light. But in the pictures, not so much. I mean, they're mostly dry, but they're not completely dry. So you see a little bit of a white color. I was going to use a different glue, but it was jammed up, so I used the tacky glue. So then the last thing I'm doing is I'm putting on my words. And this character for, this persona, like I said, she's a lady. She's fancy. The name Lalka in Polish means doll. And so she's like a fancy little pretty doll that does not like to be disparaged by being called a trash panda. Because she's not trashy, she's fancy, she's got glittery and sparkly stuff all over her. She wears a flower crown. She's special. She's not just your ordinary old nasty raccoon. That's what she says. So the words that I'm putting on, I used a combination of my handwriting, some printed stickers that I made with my Brother P-Touch label maker, and then at the bottom I use some rubber stamps. This stamp set is from Stampin' Up, and it looks like a ransom note, where they used to cut out the letters so that it's not in your own hand. That's what this set was meant to design. The design was meant to be. So it looks funny. It looks a little bit trashy. So it says, "You may call me Dollface, Love Muffin, Princess Flower Bottom, or simply the one, but not Trash Panda." And I think she'll open up a trash can of whoop butt on you if you call her Trash Panda, because she's warning you. So that's the words. That's what it says. I hope you've enjoyed this page. I hope you've enjoyed this whole month of daily art journaling videos. And Please give me a thumbs up. You can leave me a comment or question below. You can subscribe. Please subscribe. You can turn on your notification bells. You can share this if you know someone who loves raccoons. They remind me of cats. I know people think they're, gross or whatever because they eat trash and they dig in the trash can and tip things over and eat plants they're not supposed to out of your garden and everybody's mad. But I think they look like cats. I think they're super cute with their little five-finger paws that can grip things. They're adorable. So I mean, I wouldn't have one as a pet or something, but I think they're cute, and I think this one in particular is cute. So if you know someone who loves them, you can share this with them, pin it on Pinterest, whatever you want. So the last thing I did after I touched up the words a little bit is I used some Stickles glitter glue to make it just a little bit more sparkly. So now you can see it in the close-ups. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.